Hello guys, we're here for the channel for Joshua's Boosters with Hrvoje or Railz, one of the best European One Piece players, and he sadly lost out on tiebreakers on Top Cup, but he went 8-2 with Sakazuki. So, before that, do you want to say anything, shoutouts?
Well, first of all, shoutouts to Bandai for unbanning this guy. Like, this is the most fun I've had in a tournament in quite a while. But otherwise, I did most of the testing like by myself because other people were busy with other things. Like the ban list was so hectic. The reason I want to play Saka is, of course, had some success with him, so really close to my heart. And I think the deck is actually really good. I had a bit of unfortunate losses in the first and sixth round. I switched to like Bonnie and Teach, which are not matchups you should lose, at least not with this type of list that I'm running. I'll show the main thing that's like the difference between the usual lists, so I think we can just dive in.
Alright, let's go.
And if you want to see this in written form, there's also like the MetaFi thing I wrote.
Yes, we'll ask Josh to put it in the description, any type of coaching and guides.
So first, this is the only searcher I run. Well, the only like true that looks the deck searcher, because there's also Mancheries. The reason being, she's efficient and you don't have to like run too many Navy targets for her, and yeah, she's just enough to be a target for Hound Blaze. I ran 3 Tsuru. I ran 8 2Ks total, but I need them to be fetchable by Rebecca and Mancheri, so Tsuru turned out to not be that important. You actually don't want to play her out. Then 2 Mancheri, she's like the MVP into pretty much all the new matchups. She's good into Green Zoro, into Rayleigh, into Blue Purple Luffy. Like, she just creates that pressure point, like in terms of advantage on the board, and if they don't deal with it, it snowballs out of control. So maybe even gonna play more copies. I'm not sure. Gonna test it a little bit more and write it in the article. 2 of the Nefertari Cobra. This was a last minute edition. I didn't even plan to bring this card with me, but then friend that I brought them for Uchi ended up not playing them, so I was like, fuck it. It should work in against Zoro, because that's how Uchi uses it. And if it protects Kuzan against Zoro, you actually have a solid chance to win if you go like this into Kuzan, protect the Kuzan, and then you find Mancheri and you can clear their board and stay safe by looping Rebecca. For the Brook, I think that's like the one that needs least explanation. This card is just the best black card they have printed since Moria. And there's a lot of cheeky one-offs in this deck. So the first one is the Bartolomeo. I wanted one 2K that is a blocker for like very marginal reasons I'll get to later.
And this one is fetchable by Mancheri, right?
Yeah,
so
it's like 3 cost for all the relevant things. I didn't want to run Vergo or some other like crap navy one, so I just picked the best generic black one. And 3 of the Hina and 1 Laboon. Original to score Hinas, but I realized I need something that's like kind of more immediately active while also being like a present threat on the board and can generate value over and over. Might even consider bumping Laboon up to 2. Like, it overperformed crazy when I drew it. I just didn't want to like impose on the slots of the Kuzan, which is probably my favorite card in the deck. Because yeah, this guy's busted. It's like the least amount of board investment. It's the same as in BY. It's just like you play, they
replace itself, and then it's crazy pressure.
Yeah. The only reason that I run like 3-2 is because I would be pretty pissed when I saw this on 4 and knew it could have been this. So if I increase this, it'll probably be at expense of something else, but not at another Hina because these are too good. And 4 Rebecca is like self-explanatory. 1 Pudding. I realized there's like the bull pattern where if a matchup is bad, sometimes you just Pudding and pray, and this still performs into like all of your good matchups already, because if they start hoarding hand, you can just Pudding them to punish them if you have like setup of Laboon Brook or Kuzan Brook on the board. But against Zoro, you attack them. If they take on 4, you play Pudding. It's probably better than playing Kuzan, because if they have Tashigi, if they kept hand or search Tashigi, they're gonna deal with this anyways. So might as well like Pudding them and potentially break them and buy more time. 4 of the Navy, 5 cost 2K, because yeah, you just want to be able to consistently find a 2K with Rebecca. And then the spicy card, the one that I think most people underrated, and for me it took a while to understand how to put it in the deck to actually make it work. It's like, it was complete MVP today. And 3 I think felt perfect. So what she does is she enables another card that I wanted to play but couldn't really figure out how to do it, and that was Gravity Blade. Because the problem with Boa was, unless you have Kuzan or Laboon set up on the board, she doesn't like bottom anything with her removal effect, and then you just like freeze something, but then they play something else and you're unable to deal with that something. And Gravity Blade solves that, because you play this into this and you kind of blow out the board because of the insane reach of Gravity Blade. And vice versa, Gravity Blade's problem was like you had that one turn where you have to do something that's not removal to actually reward you playing this later, and you have to not lose too much advantage to your opponent because they get the body and attack you with it. And this like solves that problem perfectly because it just freezes the body. So this combination, I would say it felt like a perfect ratio, but I honestly wish I saw Gravity Blade more in the Teach games. Like I didn't see draw any against Teach, and I saw them against Rayleigh, so I had to resolve this against Rayleigh to win last round. But yeah, pending further testing, 2 or 3 copies I think. One of Jozu, I'm not too big of a fan of this card anymore. Like bouncing is fake tempo, at least in the matchups where which are like popular and difficult, like Green Zoro, and he doesn't do anything against Teach. You cannot play him against Rayleigh, so it's like a dead card there. But having one felt fine because it gives me like an excuse.
One Piece players, for the top 64 prizes, please join the queue so we can give you the prizes and you can go home and rest.
I'll just do the Jozu.
You were saying the fake tempo bouncing, but you have an excuse if you play one to.
Yeah. So with having the one copy of it still gives me the excuse to like play down Tsurus and like fetch these back, or maybe even a 2K if I played this. That almost came up against Rayleigh, but in the end I could just kill him. Then one of Sengoku. This card is another like pathway into Gravity Blade because he can just revive Kuzan. You draw a card, you have 7K body and a 5K body. They have to deal with Kuzan, and while they do that, they're probably unable to deal with Sengoku. So as long as you have some other like means of cost reduction, you can usually keep this and bottom deck their 2 bodies, and you probably didn't lose too much value because you drew the card, you have the blocker. So similar role to Boa, but less impactful. Might deserve a second slot, but I didn't.
Would you think maybe the second over the Jozu, or?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
One Jack, just didn't want to end up in a black mirror, like either Sakazuki or Lucci without this guy, or even against Teach he comes up, even though Teach has the easiest time outing it. Because once you find it, like it's easy to fetch it back with Rebecca if you actually need it, or if you died. Didn't tap mistake because the card is not that impactful anymore. It's too slow into all like the important OP12 matchups. The decks are so fast, but you still want them in the mirror against NL, against Bonnie, against all the soul decks. Like it just lets you grind them down completely. One tech event for Zoro. I picked this over Black Vortex mainly because it's like better high roll potential. Like you can combine a blocker, beat Cobra, Rebecca, or Bartolomeo with a slave arrow like block, and then bounce the unit back, and then you just buy a full turn of time, which is usually enough if you find Mancheri. Because if you see this, and you established one of these, that's usually the recipe for winning in Zoro, which is obviously the most difficult matchup. I played 3 Houndblaze and one of the Murakumo lightsaber. The ratio was like I still want one in the deck for Rayleigh. It doesn't usually come up as much as Houndblaze because Houndblaze just lets you hit. It was fine. Like I don't think I will add more of those. Once again against Teach, I didn't see as many blue events as I would have liked, but you know, that's cards. And then the 2 Gravity Blades and 1 Navy HQ. Also, this card, it kind of did something, but the only matchup where it had an impact was the Bonnie match I lost because he kind of disrespected it completely by playing Tuko's blockers when I had Brook and this on the board. In all the other games, I don't actually remember it coming up at all. So maybe it could have been like another Tsuru or another Tempest kick. I don't know. But overall, I felt pretty satisfied with the list. I'm sure it can be improved. And I'm sure like Sakazuki is a lot stronger than people think. I don't exactly remember. I can try to remember the matchups. It was like round 1 was the Bonnie loss, round 2 was Teach win, round 3 was Green Zoro. It was a win. It was like I had like pretty much the perfect. I think it was Slave Arrow and not the Cobra that allowed me to stall for a while. But I at some point started looping Mancheri, Rebecca, and that got me there. And then it was like Blue Kuzan, where Boa was complete MVP. 2 NLs where like all these cards are so good against NL, especially this guy, but pretty much everything. And then in round 7, I lost to Teach, where he triggered Tempest kick of his own on my Cobra blocker, and that pretty much caused me to lose the board because hand sizes were low on both sides, and I needed a blocker. And what else? Oh yeah, round 1 the Bonnie loss was pretty much break. I couldn't play until 7 dawn, but he had the good second curve. And then round 8 was Shanks, round 9 was another Bonnie, and round 10 was Rayleigh. And the Rayleigh match was like really interesting and tense because the only removal I used in that match were like 1 T-Bone and 1 Gravity Blade. And I think at some point when I went for game I used Houndblaze, but it was like a really crazy game. So yeah, unfortunately, round 1 loss meant my tiebreakers are probably not enough to make top cut unless I'm X1. But yeah, the deck performed really well. I'll definitely explain it in detail more in the article. I suggest you try it out. Like, it's really fun, and yeah, that's it.
All right, Hrvoje, thank you so much for the profile and all the stuff you were talking about, like MetaFi, will be linked in the description.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and see you next time.
Also, I agreed to play with Joshua. We're gonna play our Sabodi match. I'll be playing Sakazuki, he'll be playing Gucci, so make sure to tune in for that.
Ah, yes,
if you
for
want to
sure.
see how
for
the
sure.
black leaders face off. I'll
sure.
play something like this.
All right, thank you so much. See you next time.